What's going on? Cold Rice Media presents something new. This is actually something I'm very, 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 very excited about. One of the things that I've wanted to do for a very long time. Because I'm a big boxing fan, and I wanted to, I've watched a lot of reaction videos and a lot of like little podcasting in there, and seen a lot of boxers and even some just like fair weather fans putting stuff together. And I wanted to put something together on my end. So here's the opportunity. This new series is called Laban, which in Tagalog, Filipino, is called Fight. We kept it very simple. So we're going to be discussing boxing, possibly some MMA here and there, but there's definitely a lot of topics and fights coming up. So we'll primarily focus on boxing. But I am welcoming to the stage, to the pod, to the viewership here, my cousin, Coach Emil, and you saw him there in the intro, and he's definitely one of the first people, if not the first person, that I thought about in doing something like this with. So, Coach Emil, welcome to Cold Rice Media. Can you give us a little bit of background on who you are?
How's it going, y'all? Like Rheimmond said, I'm his cousin. My name's Emil. I'm one of the managers, co-owners of Seattle Boxing Gym in Seattle, Washington. I've been with them since 2015 in almost literally every capacity you could think of.
Wow.
Started off as a member, volunteered to help coach some classes, officially came on as an employee in 2017. And then, from there, what do I say? The rest is history, right? And then worked my way up to owner in 2021, and here we are, man.
Yeah, I mean, I just remember you when you first started. And I visited the gym. You hit me. I was like, I'm at the gym at SBG, and that was still back when it was in Broadway, in Seattle, Washington, right in Broadway area. You go downstairs, and just that was the best though. It was the grimy sessions over there, dark, and you were like mopping floors for a minute. Then
Oh,
here you are.
yeah, man. That gym, man. When you walk down those stairs, you there was no way you'd be like, oh, I'm still in Seattle. Like if you just saw the pictures, like you'd never be like, oh, this is in Seattle. It looks like something from, maybe I shouldn't say this for all the people watching it, tuning in from Detroit or Philly, but it looks like something grimy like that, like with like
No,
those straight up concrete walls, and no matter how many times we mopped, swept, wiped shit down, always dirty. So
no,
that's
that's what you want though. That's
it
what you
is.
want. That's what made it official, and I think that was a lot of the allure with that gym. You had some additional gyms in the area in the outskirts that had that also, but you knew you were in for some real stuff when you started walking. Like you said, I mean, you had to get buzzed in. I remember that thing.
Yeah,
You're sitting there, and it's a door. It's a door, nothing else but spray painted on. It was legit. So I remember that originally. But then you guys are in a newer area. I don't know how long you guys been in that area now.
so yeah, we moved to a nice little, pretty bougie area. And December 7th, I remember the day, 2019. So it's been, man, end of this year, 4 years. Felt like we
Yeah.
lost years, doing, yeah. Can we talk about, no.
Yeah, of course. Of course. I mean, that's
you know,
life.
pandemic, man. So it finally feels like we're getting traction again, for every business and stuff. And, we were no different. It was hard, but, you know, we made it,
Yeah.
we survived, and I felt like we're thriving again. So,
So I've been following your social, and especially with the gym. And I'm really just noticing, and it was one of those things that I thought it was just kind of a one time deal, because I know you guys were doing a few things here and there, but I'm starting to notice you guys are putting together events because you're one of the few gyms, the boxing gyms that have a full size ring, like an actual
yeah.
official ring in there. So you're putting events together. So what's going on with that? I know you guys just finished one off.
Yeah, we had our last sparring event. Man, it was August 26th. Was it the
Mm-hmm.
26th? It was at the it was at the end of August, and it was just fun. Like to have something like that in that area. When we have an event like that, and you're bringing in a, a rowdy crowd of people
Mm-hmm.
cheering for these fights, where when I set it up again, it's a sparring event, and I was like, okay, probably everyone's gonna get in there, gonna go a little harder than they would, like if they were just at open sparring on Sundays or Wednesday nights. But no, these boxers came in like they had something to prove.
Was it members? Was this members only, or was this an invitational? How was this all set up?
So I originally contacted um, some local gyms, and I was trying to keep it to maybe like 2, 3 max, just to make it easier to make sure that I could follow up with everybody. But it was a little difficult to find boxers that were available, because more and more of our local gyms are having their boxers actually compete through USA Boxing, which was
Nice.
had to change it. Where one, I ended up contacting 5 different gyms, and I started thinking that okay, it's a sparring event, so I was trying to match up only boxers without actual amateur experience through USA Boxing. But then I was like, okay, as long as I match up another amateur boxer to spar with another boxer who has a similar record, then I was like, okay, I think we can make it work. And that's how I was able to get the event going. And we
No.
actually had man, 5 fighters drop out the week of, and I was like, all right, here we go. And thank God I was, just kept constant communication with the other gyms, and just put some feelers out for other people that might want to be in it. And yeah, it ended up working out. It was a huge success, super fun,
Mm-hmm.
the packed.
I mean, you can only prepare up to so much, and then all of a
Yeah,
sudden, here comes the real deal, and people are trying to get into the door. That's the excitement around that, and I think you've thrown what 2 or 3 of these things, and just for it to just keep building and just having this momentum, and like you said, you're kind of like 2 years paused
yeah,
because of
yeah.
because of what we went through, what the world went through, and then 2 years paused, and here it comes. The momentum's coming up.
Yeah, we had the last one like from August, like it was over a year ago,
Mm-hmm.
and just no one was really that committed anymore. Once we got to like the summer of 2022, I get it. People that live in Seattle around that area, so South Lake Union, like lots of Amazon
Mm-hmm.
workers
Mm-hmm.
or Meta workers, they're not from Seattle, so they usually like to travel during the summer or during the holidays. They like to go back home, which is fine. But I'm like, man, if you're trying to compete, like even at the amateur level, you need to give this sport the sweet science, the respect it deserves. Because even with headgear on in USA Boxing, which is crazy because the rest of the world no longer like has even its amateur fighters wearing headgear.
Mm-hmm.
Even with headgear, I mean, man, you could still get a concussion. That headgear
Oh,
only,
even.
yeah, and if you look at the USA Boxing headgear, it's basically just something flimsy. The face is open, so you can still get cut. Like it's basically, it's like I don't even know what it is. It's not even a security blanket. It's just
No.
to be annoying. I hated wearing that thing. I hate wearing headgear, except when you're sparring, you have to, so you don't get cuts, right? You have like more protection around your actual face when you
So
do it.
put
When you
some of your fighters on, because I'm excited. So, like you said, like the Seattle area, the greater Seattle area, GSA, I guess that's what y'all are calling it over there now.
call it,
There's a
I,
lot of GSA. Have you heard that?
bro, that's GMA, bro. Shout out
No,
to the
so there's a lot of excitement in Seattle. I know we've had quite a few pro fighters that have come and visit and trained over there, and there's this buzz in the city, and it's like everybody's just trying to come up now. Let's put some names out there. Like your gym right now, I know they're repping out there and pushing. Drop a couple names for us to follow.
Man,
And I mean,
like I said, some pro fighters coming in. I mean, and we'll touch on. Damn, can we? Because it is what it is. Pause. It's like because obviously the Benavidez's.
yeah.
David, Jose Jr., right? Their dad,
Mm-hmm.
Senior, the coach. Like obviously they had come to Seattle, and it's like instantly. Like Seattle they've had some pro boxers in the past.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe there were some great boxers that had come from Seattle, and they just, usually go down to SoCal, Las Vegas. They probably wouldn't go to New York because, it's so far across and wide.
Mm-hmm.
Go SoCal and Vegas. But when they moved here, it was just like, boom, star power in Seattle was crazy,
Mm-hmm.
even though they're from Arizona. But as for more local talent that say they fight out of Seattle,
Mm-hmm.
there's Shea Green, right?
Coach Shea.
Shea, shout out to his coach, Michael, Bonafide Boxing. But he, trains people over at Seattle Boxing Gym. And we got one of our actual coaches too. Like he's there multiple times a week, just like Shea. And he's new. Like he had just turned pro like this year. Highly touted amateur fighter, from the area. He's from
And
West.
who's that?
Alexis de la Cerda.
Woo! Okay.
Yeah, man. Alexis the real de la Cerda. I don't think that's his name, but I'll just put it. Fighting October 21st, Green River Community.
Nice. Okay. We'll put him on. And we'll follow him. We'll follow him with the show and everything like that. And I think the plan is to do this weekly or as needed. If there's something else, if something that comes through and we need to react to it or we need to talk about it, let's definitely do that. Yeah, that's dope, man. I'm pumped for that area. I'm pumped for Seattle because it's never, there's always been this undercurrent of people trying to break through, and it sounds like, it needed a little bit of that push by some of the out of towners, like like you said, like the Benavidez brothers coming through and Rayo coming through. So that's shout out to them. Thank you so much for doing so much in the area, and congratulations and good luck for the next for your next fight step. We'll talk about that in a little bit here. I do want to give since we're talking about just local talent, I'm based in Dallas Fort Worth area, and I do want to give a quick shout out to a young fighter that I've been following for a while. He's family. His name is Taden, and he's actually going to he's what I think he's 10 years old, 9 or 10 years old, but he's actually going to be on his way to Greece. He got invited to represent that age group in the U.S. here to I think it's Gamma Sports or Gamma Events. He's headed there I think this Monday. So good luck, Taden. We're pulling for you. I think there's still a last minute. We want him to have a little bit of walk-in money over there just to spend. I know it was tough just to even get one of these last minute flights out there. Is that Greece international stuff? So he does have a GoFundMe. I'll GoFundMe. I'll put something at the end of this episode here. Try to see if we can give him some walk-in money, and hopefully he can represent. We'll talk about it when he comes back. Very proud of you, Taden. Good luck, buddy. But yeah, quick shout out for him. But yeah, let's get back. Man, I'm ready. I'm ready to start talking about these fights.
Oh man, before I forget, bro, how could I forget? Other boy, my bad. Jose Rayo Valenzuela, freaking, he's about to have a rematch with Colbert.
Let's go. Come on, let's talk about that real quick. What the? Okay, you and I watched that.
Yeah.
I mean, we were texting the whole time, and I'm sitting here. I was like, "Yeah, it's in the bag. It's in the bag." I think Rayo laid off just a little bit.
He did. When I was watching it, obviously he got that knockdown, and I thought he would take like about every other round off.
Mm-hmm.
So say that and they split the rounds, but he got the knockdown, then I mean, it only makes sense that he should have won that fight. Like, I mean, those rounds that he took off were kind of close, and I guess Colbert was throwing some stuff, but there was never a point where I was like, man, I think Colbert is gonna win.
Mm-hmm. No, you're absolutely right. I didn't think. I was like, oh, it's close, but it should have made the difference already. If at hindsight, when I watched the fight again, I was like, he did pull back. If there was going to be a case for Colbert, or is it Colbert to have won that fight, it was him kind of taking a step back. But now he knows. Now he knows, and he's got to go in there. I mean, he took it to him. What a great fight, though. I didn't even know that they signed it. So,
yeah, I guess the pressure finally got to Chris. So, I mean, shout out to them and their camp for taking it again. I'm glad. And man, you got to get it this time. You got it last time, and now you got to put the finishing touches.
Yeah, absolutely. And do you know when that's? Do you know when that is? We can always look it up later.
Still trying to figure that out. So
okay, no. Congrats to him on getting that rematch, like you said. A few fights. Let's take. I know this is our first show. I do want to take a step back and discuss. Man, we've been blessed with. I've never experienced a year like this in boxing.
Bro, look, I'm like fidgeting in my seat because it was just exciting.
No, I mean, let's see, who was it? I think, you know what, Tank Ryan, I think, set it off, in my opinion. When Tank said
this ones are the Benavidez Plant was
a big one.
Right before it, yeah.
I'm glad Plant finally took it. I know there was a lot of back and forth and everything, and that's the thing that I respect so much about Benavidez, David, is that he just leaves it in the ring. There's really no true beef. You know, he goes in there and, you know, they might be jawing back and forth, but that's the fight game. What are you supposed to do? It's not the Manny Pacquiao style where he's just fighting. I mean, he's smiling at you the whole time and then all of a sudden it turns it on.
Like that. Like, if you're one way, I mean, you know, be consistent. Manny was always like that. You know, he's probably like smiling because he's like, I'm not quite sure about everything. So
you didn't understand.
I always say, man, this is like a tangent before we get back on with Benavidez Plant, but he always tried to speak English. So I think that endeared him to outside the Philippines, even though people like assume that the Philippine accent is his. And I'm like, he's got that deep provincial accent.
Well, yeah, that's another show on its own. Did you think that that Plant Benavidez fight was going to be like that? Was there a doubt? I know I've always been team Benavidez the whole time on that. But Plant is no slouch, and that was worth it. That was worth the wait.
I mean, I'll say this, I know David, so I was team David, and I thought he would win, but I knew Plant could box. And like, after watching the Canelo fight, after watching this fight, honestly, like, if it's insane to think that I'm going to say this, where he needs more conditioning, his stamina, because of fights. Like, he's fighting these two guys who are like stalking him around the ring. So remember, like, if we're being honest, he was winning the Canelo fight. He was winning that Benavidez fight for a while. But then he, I think it was like maybe in the eighth, he just started getting tired, because again, like, it's crazy to say that someone who's doing all of that at that level needs more. But I mean, to be able to box the way he needs to box to win,
I don't know though. If you take a look at that fight, and mind you, I mean, if you conditioning and boxing, I mean, there's no way those shouldn't be mentioned in the same sentence. But
yeah,
I think during that fight, I think David started going body halfway through, just try to break him. And Canelo is a master in that body. He's got that lead. he's got that lead left to the body that's gonna get you that whole time. And then it finally started taking its toll. But no, props to Plant. I agree that he was actually comes out strong. I wasn't worried. I just knew. I mean, David's always gonna sit there and just kind of take it, and before you know it, he just climbs on top and it's over. So Loma Haney. Let me just jump right into that one.
Yeah, we did. It's
I don't know. I don't know how to, I know how I felt after the decision. I know who I felt won. And I'm going to say I just felt Loma had that fight. I thought Loma did more than enough to get that dub. I mean, mind you, Haney being the bigger man in that, and he looked good.
Yeah, he did.
He boxed well, but I just thought Loma had that whole time. And now I don't even think we see that. We'll see that run back.
No. I mean, Haney's moving up, which is, yeah, sure. He should move up.
Yeah. So, but then poor Loma.
Yeah.
It's one of those. It's like that was his legacy. He really just wanted to get back up there and just try to get and he just after that fight, I was like, I don't want to come back unless it's Haney. But hopefully he's changed his mind. I haven't really seen a whole lot after that.
Which is crazy because if we take it back to the Teofimo Lomachenko fight, like Teo was definitely winning because Loma, he didn't really start off until like the 7th round. And it's like, all right, at that point, if he's won all 6, he got to win, the 7 to 12. And he lost the 12th round too. So Teo definitely won that. But if Loma, I was thinking after that, I was like, dang, if Loma had just started quick. So then back to the Loma Haney fight, he started quick, like right away. And that's all that. I was like, damn, yeah, he looked good. He had it in the bag. But I mean, watching it, I remember thinking, I was like, all right, Haney's doing what he's supposed to do, which is like he was trying to land those body shots. Like he did land a lot of hard rights to the body, like 4s, right? Because then Loma would get off a combination, and obviously not every punch is gonna land, and probably that was on purpose, but he would definitely land multiple shots out of that combination, and then Haney would just come back with that right. So then it goes to that conversation of, are you judging it like an amateur fight or a pro fight? Which I don't like in this sense, because not only was Loma throwing more active with his hands, with his feet, but he was also actually landing shots. And so just to explain that, in amateur boxing, they don't really think about ring generalship or anything like that. Like the way to win amateur fights here in the US, I don't know about anywhere else, but I'm going to assume so as well, is to be active. So your feet, your hands, like it doesn't have to look pretty. You just have to keep punching and keep moving. Like if you're the aggressor, you're probably going to win. Like someone could land one clean shot and almost knock you out, but if for the rest of the round, the other person is just like throwing punches, no matter how ineffective they might be, they'll probably win that round. Yeah. And in pro boxing, they have things like ring generalship. They value landing harder, cleaner shots, and they don't value ineffective combinations, like ineffective aggression, as much as amateur boxing.
Yeah, definitely. There was a lot of moments in that fight where you can make a case to where, if I was like, how, like you said, how are they really going to judge this? But it just really felt like if you want to talk about ring generalship, I just felt like Loma, that whole, at least majority of the fight, was leading and directing.
Yeah.
And to where it was going to be, because you were just, that was the feeling. If you have that feeling of how the fight was going, regardless of like if anybody was knocked down or anything like that, or how many punches were thrown, you just had that, as you were watching, you had that feeling. It's like, yeah, he should be winning this. I mean, he looks like he's in control. And that's what I felt that whole time. Yeah. Well, speaking of hard shots and setting up the body, and then going overhand. You know what I'm
Oh,
talking about? The that Fulton and Noye fight. Wow. I mean,
mm,
there was just so much buzz, and if you've been following Noye for a while, you had a good feeling that even him moving up, there's still you understood this kid's power, and
oh,
even when he moved up, even with a little bit of weight, weight gain on there, you knew he was going to carry it over. I don't know if it's going to carry over 2 or 3. It might need a little bit more physical conditioning on that, but wow, I mean that
oh,
was domination.
you just started it off. That week was insane because they fought in Japan Tuesday. I
Mm-hmm.
stayed, or no, I woke up early for that fight because I woke up at like 3:30. I caught the match right before it. It was like also like a crazy knockout by the fighter. I can't remember his name, but yeah, it started at like almost 4:30, and man, it's crazy to see how petty Inoue is because I bet their camp kept hearing how Fulton's fans would say that Fulton was just going to outbox him. It was going to be a
Yeah,
master class of boxing. And when he started off that first round, if you watch, this guy's in the Philly shell. I was like,
bro.
oh, and
It's like
it's
you can be
better.
defensive as heck, right? You can be defensive as heck. If you're in the Philly shell, you're gonna feel it. If this guy's hitting hard, it doesn't matter how defensive. If you're just controlling yourself, like you're still gonna feel it.
Oh yeah,
And so that's what broke him open, broke the shell open. Then it was over.
man. In no
I was
way
like,
crazy. Like
he's a machine.
he's got such amazing footwork, hand speed, power that just like carries over.
Mm-hmm.
It's yeah,
Now,
man.
how ridiculous is that conversation with him and Tank though? Like a possibility of him moving up. Like that's the guy just got there at that. How many weight classes is that? He just got there at that weight class, and now they want him to move up just because
That's
they
like two weight classes up, which is crazy because I
well
mean,
that's what Jermel's going up to.
that,
But
let's wait for that one. But I mean, yeah, because Tank is. I mean, he's already bulkier, but they're like the same height.
they are.
Tank is they're both like 5'4".
I mean, I don't want to be selfish. I'd love to see it, but I just don't. I think it's a little. It's crazy to think that you would all of a sudden just bump him up and make a fight out of that. I think you
Yeah,
give him maybe about a couple of years. Who knows? But who knows if Tank's even going to be fighting then? Because this guy he want to retire soon.
which I mean, back to that again, that's a whole nother conversation. But we'll see. I mean, that'd be crazy. What a matchup. Tank is a huge fan of Inoue.
Mm,
He's a lot. And yeah, that'd be crazy. It kind of reminds me of remember this is definitely over 10 years ago. Over
mm-hmm.
probably 15, when I said no, it's got to be almost 20 because Cotto and fought Pacquiao. Shout out to the GOAT. Gambing, dude, in 2009. And remember, like a few years before that, I was like, dude, what about Pacquiao Cotto? And you were like, there's no way Cotto's too big. That was before he fought plastered up Margarito, though.
Bro, there's I mean the argument for one of the goats, if not top 5 of for Manny is just when the argument for that is when you go back in his timeline and how you talked about him and how he was dominating in some sense and how it's like, oh, that'd be crazy if he fought him and it'd be
I know.
crazy if he fought De La Hoya, it'd be crazy if he fought Cotto, and then all of a sudden, crazy if he fought Margaret. It's just that he every single time it'd be crazy if he fought this guy and he fought him and he whooped him. I mean, it wasn't even close on any of those fights. He ended those guys.
Yeah.
It's crazy, and he literally he ended. In my opinion, he ended Cotto at that point. Although Cotto was a little after the whole plaster thing with Margarito.
He
And then
did.
he definitely ended Margarito because of the orbital. And of course, we know about De La Hoya.
I
That was
mean,
it.
so quick shout out to Cotto. I mean, one of the greats.
Oh
He
yeah.
actually he went with when he started training with Freddie Roach. It's like he had a whole second career. He came
Mhm.
back. Sergio Martinez, who was the boogeyman at that, uh, it was what light middleweight,
Mhm.
but yeah, man. And then Pac. Speaking of another, that guy had like 3 or 4 careers because he gets knocked out
Mhm.
by Marquez, and then he comes back, beats Rios. Who else did he fight after that? I mean, obviously he beat Keith Thurman, which was crazy. That's like a prime welterweight, a welterweight in his prime. He had another fight. Oh, Jesse Vargas, Adrian
Vargas. Yeah.
Broner.
Just kept sweeping along. Be like, all right. And I think, and I think for him, there was that need to fight just because he had such a freaking big entourage. Well, just I can keep talking about Manny, and I
Yeah,
think this would be down that to where we can spend a huge, huge section of this thing
yeah,
talking about Manny, but that we can do another show on that thing. I'd love to do another show on that thing just because of, and I'd love to do that whole comparison with Floyd. We're gonna do that. And he's like, and be you being a coach and you training definitely and being around a lot of people with different types of fan bases type of thing. I'd love to see what their point is and what your point is, what you're hearing.
yeah.
One addition, of course we gotta talk about the Spence Crawford fight.
Oh,
And I think that's going to happen again. I don't know if they actually have signed it, but talk to me how you saw that and how you would see anything different if there would be anything different in the next fight.
I mean, man, I remember leading up to it, like just the people around me. It was definitely split. Crawford. Uh, I had Crawford, and you can ask anybody. I said Crawford's gonna win by knockout or by stoppage something. And then I had like the other half of the people around me that were like, no, there's no way Spence is gonna outbox him. I thought too. I was like, all right, if he's gonna win, I thought he was gonna treat him like when he fought Mikey Garcia. But I mean, Mikey and Terrence are not the same fighter, dude. Terrence came in there, and I didn't even think it was gonna be like that. I thought it was gonna be closer because they fought a lot. They fought, you know, multiple of the same opponents, and so I thought I was like, all right, man, it's gonna be like. Hopefully, Spence can try to keep him out with the jab, but Crawford's gonna get in there, do his thing. But Spence can fight on the inside too. But bro, there was never after the second round, I was like, dude, I was like, oh, Terrence is gonna it can
It's over. It's over that. But yeah, I
never
had. I had Spence. I had
you
Spence,
because you're
and no, I looked at it. I was like, okay, fine,
oh yeah,
fine.
flip flopping on it. We were
Yeah, we had
like,
a little side on that
yeah,
because
I got
what
Spence. I remember.
what I felt with that was I just felt that Spence was gonna put in that volume
Yeah,
that he always does. I mean, Spence puts in the volume in every fight. That's basically what overwhelms his opponents. All his fights, unless he knocks you out early or anything like that. I thought Terrence hadn't seen that before. The quality of opponent, of course, that can be an argument on that, but that's just because nobody really wanted to fight Terrence. But I didn't account for just and I should have, and it's a dumb thing to overlook. Just the mastery, just the ring mastery of Bud. Bud went in there just like he was Loma-esque and downloading, and he downloaded before the fight. It wasn't
yeah.
even like I'm gonna download after the third, fourth round, like during all these rounds. He went in, and just the confidence, and I don't know if he got into his head already. I don't know if Spence had a bad camp. If Spence looked, I mean, if you can make it as an argument for Spence losing that fight because is a lot of people were saying he looked drained. I don't know. If you're trying to get up to 154 and you're draining at 147, what are you doing?
Yeah.
So you might. So I thought he would have enough volume, but No, I mean Terrence would just sit there and sidestep, and he made him look silly, bro. And
He,
that's the thing. So, what do you think of how do you think this rematch would go? I don't know if they actually have signed it. I know Spence has already asked for it.
I mean, I guess we'll see what he'll look like at 154. But
Is
I
that
remember,
really what they're doing? They're going up 154?
right? No, because Terrence is, and it's so funny. People are like, "Oh, he doesn't want the smoke." I was like, "Bro, what smoke?" He like turned him into ass, bro, in that last fight. Like, that's why I referenced him going to 154 because Terrence was saying the rematch clause in the contract is set at 147.
Okay.
Okay, and I'm like, all right, that's fair. But I was just saying, like, if they did fight at 154, it'd be interesting to see if Spence gets, a bit more explosiveness or just energy to, like you said, put that volume back on. But he was doing it against other people. But
Yeah.
reasoning for Terrence winning, remember, and this was what I told everybody was that Crawford just has way more explosive, dynamic power. Spence probably hits hard, I'm sure, but he doesn't have that one punch like KO power. It's volume. Like he overwhelms you with the volume. But
Yeah.
Crawford, that like one punch KO power, and he throws combinations, and he has like high ring IQ. Like
Yeah.
he doesn't get enough, of
Credit.
his flaws because he doesn't market himself well. He's not getting promoted well. Like they're not. I don't know. I mean, you could probably coach him to do that stuff, but maybe he doesn't want to. But man, if we're just looking at, one of the best fighters of this
Yeah.
era,
Yeah. I think so. I think so. After it's all been said, I mean, I think he's what 1A right now, and pound for pound, and you
him and
probably put Inoue 1B.
I like completely lost it. That week was crazy because Inoue Fulton was Tuesday, and
Mm-hmm.
then Spence was that Saturday, and I was like, "What is
Crazy week, crazy year. I'm serious, and we're not done. We are.
not
So
done?"
let's talk about these. So we've got three interesting fights coming up. On top of Rayo coming up if they try to fit that in because we're big fans of Rayo. Fit that in before the end of the year. But you've got Canelo Charlo. You've got I think what Haney's going to do it again against Grace or Pugraes. And I think
SF.
that's hold on. Is that I think that's next year though. I think that might be like in January.
I thought it was
But
like or something.
yeah, I'll have to double check on that. But definitely for sure Jermel and Canelo, and then also you've got that Fury and Ngannou. I also I want to get you, get your view on that. But let's talk about the one that's going to be happening next week. Canelo and Jermel.
Bro,
Does Canelo still have it?
that's the thing, man. People are trying to say like, John Ryder. I mean, that was such an ugly fight. I hated that fight. So was
Yeah.
just because, all right, you're fighting John Ryder, which is then now, he's fighting Charlo. I don't think too many people can say too much stuff about like Charlo's older. Like, I mean, obviously Canelo's the older fighter. Um, but I don't know. Like, I think like just right when the match happened, I was like, all right, um, I think Canelo's gonna win. I know. I mean, the step up in this competition that he's getting when he goes against Canelo. I mean, this guy was at the top of boxing forever, and still, I mean, he's still like the face of boxing. And
Mm-hmm.
I define the face of boxing by who do people know when you say their name? Like, unfortunately, if you say Terrence Crawford, not a lot of people are going to know who that is. Inoue, not a lot of people are going to know who that is. They'll probably know Canelo. They'll know
Yeah.
maybe Tyson Fury,
Tank.
right?
Tank's
Tank.
that big one.
Tank's getting up there. But I just, man,
So you
Canelo's
think you
going to go.
think he's gonna show up? You think we're gonna see old Canelo? because a lot of the I mean I've listened to a lot of trainers and everything like that, and mind you, I mean he Jermel is coming up two-weight. I mean, what, two-weight classes for this, but Jermel's a naturally bigger guy. He's always been the
I
bigger
was
guy,
gonna say
you know.
bigger,
But he
bigger.
just happens to he be able to get down to 154, 157. But and Canelo was the smaller guy that just got big
Yeah,
and was able to. So that'd be I'm interested. It's definitely the youth. I mean, it's Jermel. I've been watching the lead up on this thing. He's not messing around either. But we're gonna
bro.
have to see. Like I think it's the key is to that whole thing is which Canelo is gonna show up. Does he have one more run? Because one more run here, or is he? I mean, he's been fighting since he was 15. He's got
Bro,
70 fights. This guy
guys
was
fought
fighting like 3-4 times a year, or 2 or 3 times a month.
brother.
What's that?
He fought Cotto's brother, dude, and that's how long he's been fighting for. Like Cotto has a brother. That was the last time he was like he got rocked.
Mm-hmm.
Got hit with the left hook, and he got like little Bambi legs. But again, he was like what 16 during that fight, maybe 19, something like that.
So you think? I mean, what are the chances that? What's Jermel's chance?
Well, that's the thing is that if Jermel,
What's he got to do?
he's got to box him and be able to use his boxing to set up his power shots. Because Charlo, I mean, both of them, we've seen it. They've got one punch KO power.
Mm-hmm.
It's cool that.
So does Canelo.
Oh, I mean, yeah,
Come on.
I was like, I'm just trying to be objective.
No, but I mean, he's got the power. I mean, but
power, and if he could set him up, that'd be crazy. But he's definitely like, he's never fought someone who could,
the kid's young.
Hello, like
Yeah. I'll go out on a limb, and I'll say if it goes past 6, because it's been very noticeable that Canelo has been kind of losing steam in the later rounds. He hasn't been the same. I mean, Bivol really put. I mean, Bivol wasn't even. I don't know, he just went right at him. No respect. So I think he started gassing. So we'll see. I think anything past the 6th, I'll lean Jermel. But if anything before that, and if Canelo has control in the earlier rounds and hurts Jermel, I mean, night, forget about it.
And that's the thing. Jermel's shown that he could be hit too. And it's like, again, bro, if you get hit by Canelo, we'll see.
That lead left to the body's kill. He's the best at doing that.
Iconic punch of like the Mexican style of boxing is that if you're an orthodox fighter, boom, just
Yeah.
That's
next week. I'm gonna check back with you on that and how you feeling about that, because I mean it's with fight week coming up here, we'll see if there's any differences. We'll have to take a look at what they even look like going in, because I mean Jermel's is still a big boy. I want to see if that carries over. Some of that power carries over. Let me ask you this before we move on to the next fight. If Jermel does take Canelo down, does he and David gets past who's he? He's fighting Andrade, right? Who's he fighting?
Oh yeah, we should mention that one for a second.
Let's talk about that real quick, because it's more a kind of a tournament, like it's a tournament to the belt on that thing, because I mean in my opinion the bigger fight, the right fight was Jermel, but with David sitting there and has been begging for this thing, and deservedly so. I mean, why not? So who's David fighting next? Is it Andrade? Who's he fighting?
Yeah, it's Andrade.
Yeah.
And this fight comes down to, is David finally gonna get him to pipe down? Which is cool. Like whatever, Andrade's trying to get bigger fights. Can't hate on that. Mm-hmm. Or is Andrade gonna win and be like, "Yep, I'm a force to be reckoned with in this division." And then if he does beat David, like it's probably gonna make his chances of getting a fight with you know, Canelo and stuff even harder. Like I don't think Canelo really avoids anyone, but it's like as he gets, into the twilight of his career, why would you take
Yeah.
a fight like that? Where because Andrade is so awkward and he's got some power, right? But again, my boy David, I can't go against him. I think you know, he's got one of the highest like KO percentages too, like across all of boxing. I think he's like in the high 80s.
Crazy momentum right now.
Yeah,
Crazy momentum. I don't like that he changed his nickname, bro. Bandera Rojo was the man. That was it. I don't know what he is now. What is he, like the serial killer or something like that? What is he? I forget what he is now. I love that Bandera Rojo.
Oh,
Hmm?
I didn't even know that he changes.
He changed it over in the last fight. You didn't notice that? I texted you. I was like, what is this? David? Yeah, we'll have to check on that later. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm making stuff up. But I remember him changing his name. It was something that just didn't fit. This didn't stick. Yeah. So yeah, that'll be kind of just a little mini tournament there, and we'll see what happens. I agree. I think if Canelo pulls it off, and if by chance David doesn't make it through, I think Canelo just kind of skips that fight with Andrade, and he looks for the big money fight. I mean, Bud's calling him out.
Oh my God.
Bud said, "Hey, sign the dot."
Like, all right, we're gonna.
That's 2 weight classes. You just fought another guy that's in Jermel that's jumping up 2 weight classes. Talk to Bud. Maybe 3 weight classes if he takes him up to 164.
I think that fight, like, as much as people are like, "Oh, Canelo's too big," or I think that makes a ton of money.
It makes a ton of a ton of sense as far as if Canelo's willing to just say, you know what, I've done enough. I've done enough, and let's see what this guy got. If I beat him, I'll get the legacy, that kind of the stamp. If I lose to him, well then I'm walking away with dough. I'm walking away with Bill Gates 1% money, 1%.
Hey, man.
All right, so. We brought this up a little earlier. This is going to actually lead into a sub topic or sub conversation on this thing. Fury and Ngannou. Okay, everybody wanted to see the Fury Usyk. Usyk looked. I mean, he pulled it off in his last fight. I mean, there's some controversy around if it was a low blow or not. If it would have happened, by the rule, it was below the belt, and it is what it is. You got to take it for what it is. I've seen worse, but that you.
Sure.
But now Fury and Ngannou. This is, what, a sideshow, or is it a sideshow, or is it like, we're talking about big dough for this thing. They were fighting in what, Saudi Arabia?
That's dude. We need this podcast sponsored by
sponsored by Saudi Arabia. Shout out Saudi.
But so the crazy
baby steps.
I think it was right before the Gane fight, which was his last fight. But I think they were talking about how Ngannou originally wanted to be a boxer. But I don't remember how he got into MMA or whatever. But okay. I have to say it's like a sideshow because, bro, Tyson Fury is like the best heavyweight. And unless you're like Usyk can do it, like beat him or is close to him, like I don't think he will. I think Fury wins. So I think Fury is far and away the best heavyweight boxer. And if people are like, oh well, Ngannou has power, bro, this guy fought Wilder and almost out in their first and has taken shot after shot, and I'm sure he felt it, and he's probably like, what the hell? So it's not like he's gonna come in and people can say he's never fought someone with power like Ngannou's. Like he fought Wilder. Yeah. So I think Fury freaking outboxes him. Maybe if he gets a taste of his power and it's nothing too crazy, like compared to Wilder's, then I think he takes him out of there. Like,
yeah, that's scary power though. That's scary power, and you can do the same strategy as just leaning on him towards the the middle part of the fight that we did with Deontay. That was genius. I mean, he came
Oh,
in there against Deontay. He came in there like 260, I think, and he was just leaning on him. Got Wilder just tired, and that was it. It was over.
and I
But I
was
don't know
gonna.
if you can do that with him.
Well, okay. I mean, Ngannou can't like wrestle him and stuff, but it's like Ngannou won the last time he fought was against Gane. That was what, the end of January last
Yeah,
year.
it's been a while.
That's like almost a 2-year layoff now, and he's never fought like he's fought at most 5 rounds at 5 minutes apiece. And again, MMA is a
Bro,
whole beast, but this is 12. This could go up to 12 rounds. It's a 12-round fight, right? Maybe I should have looked, but if we
I think it. Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not sure on that one. I mean, I don't even know if they're considering this an. I would think it's an exhibition because you've got two different fighters here in different different agencies and also different what do you call it? Martial arts.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean it's. I don't even want to put anything as far as like who wins or who loses. Just this one doesn't count. It's just really all for entertainment. But it really does lead me to just now this new trend or this trend that's been brewing
Oh,
up of MMA fighters calling out professional boxers, like with Sugar Sean. Sugar Sean called out Tank. He wants to fight Tank, and it's a big money fight. And it's definitely, I mean, a lot of the MMA fighters definitely isn't. They're not making that boxing money.
oh,
And I think it's great that they're calling him out.
yeah.
I mean, remember when was that James Toney fought Couture? Was that he fought Couture?
God dang it.
Remember? He looks silly, but but then now they're actually willing to get in there in the ring. Let's do it. Are you so as a trainer and
Yeah.
as someone that's that's loved the sweet science of boxing and even just in every single style, just at its fullest. How do you feel about this crossover? Hold that. Including this the Paul brothers like being out there and mind you they're feeding these boxers kids and the additional kids with all this money that they're putting out there.
I was gonna
But
say like two different topics to me, but so for the MMA boxing, I don't know if a lot of people know this, but because I helped, like Shay and some other like, pro fighters that were just beginning at the lowest level of professional boxing, right? It's 4 rounds, 3 minutes each. And a lot of like MMA fighters at the lowest level too try to keep collecting checks by taking pro fights. So you see that actually a lot at the beginning, and then obviously as you go on you just fight like boxers fight other boxers because I mean that's what it's supposed to be. Same with
yeah.
MMA. They're just trying to make it in their sport. So I get it. Like, I mean, I don't know, I guess I don't really have too much feelings about it. Like, I don't know if I dislike it, I don't know if I like it.
No, I think it's great. I mean, it's one of those things to where it again, I'm all about these fighters. I mean, you go in there just as a plain fight, as a fighter period, as a boxer and an MMA fighter. A lot of these MMA guys and I think we'll do one. We'll do one on the next fight talk or maybe like next couple fight talks. I don't know what's up, so I have to take a look at their calendar. But these guys
Yeah.
are going in there, they're making like they got to pay their trainer, they got to pay the gym, they got to pay their own weight, their own way around this thing. And their trainers themselves, they get like, a particular cut. And I think it's easier, of course, if you're just a boxer that already has this endorsement and you've got, people like behind you to actually fund you
Yeah.
to get in there and you're making your way. But these MMA guys, they're in there almost every single freaking day and they're just making what, $1,000, a couple $1,000. And then when you make it to the big level, you're finally, you make this big loop, but then you're just so beat up. So
I mean, I don't even know anymore, but remember like Connor like had the highest payday ever, and it was just it's funny that I say this, but for that world, like just $1 million. Like
no, yeah. He was the cash cow and he wasn't even remotely close to what the boxer was making. The stat that got me and the thing that you just feel for him is that when that fight with Nate, Nate fought
Yeah,
Jake.
Jake. Yeah,
That
and
one
he made
fight made him
more.
more money than the entire career. Come
I
on,
remember thinking
what are
that
we doing?
before that even came out. I was like, Nate probably made more in this fight, like, than his entire career. That was like the same with Ben Askren. And that's why I'm like, all right, if we go back to that thing where you said about like the Paul brothers, like if we just Jake Paul, I'll just talk about him. Jake, I mean, his voice, his face, I hate it. Like, I just hate his voice and his face. But in terms of like what he's doing,
He's
I
paying
guess
these
a lot of
guys.
people just hate it because they can't do the same thing. Like I said, like when they're like, oh, how about he face a real boxer? A lot of boxers, again, like I was saying, that just start out fighting 4 rounds, fight a lot of MMA fighters, which is what he was doing, but he's just making millions doing it, right? So, I mean, I understand. People are probably just like jealous. They're hating. They're like, oh, he didn't pay his dues. But I mean, shit, if people can find a way to make millions without paying their dues, and like one of the hardest things you could do as a career, I mean, they would do it.
Yeah, absolutely.
And he's just doing it. So
what's her name? Amanda Serrano, right?
that's why she likes him, because
That's
she's getting.
Well, who's ever heard of Amanda to begin with until she started, going on the undercards, and then you saw how crazy this girl is out there, and she's a monster. But Jake put her on, and you got all, but in the same card you got Deron, what's his name, Deron Williams fighting, what's his name from from Pittsburgh, Bell.
Oh my freaking Le'Veon Bell, dude.
Le'Veon Bell versus Deron Williams. I think that was the card, and I was like,
oh my, wow.
what are these fools doing? What are these?
Deron
It's
Williams.
I can understand the celebrity boxing. I was dope back then with like Tanya Harding and freaking
Jose Canseco.
That was kind of cool back then, because it's like you wanted to see all this weird stuff, Bonaducci putting it down, but then now you got actual cats out there going in there, and I mean, of course, you got the YouTubers doing all this thing, a bunch of the influencers. Here's the thing: if they're gonna be doing this, I just hope they're gonna be okay out of it. I hope they are, it's obviously it's sanctioned, and I just really hope it doesn't get to that point, because boxing is no freaking joke,
Again,
man.
yeah.
And it's very scary to think what could happen to these, high profile people in their space, and then what's gonna happen if somebody just, if there's, God forbid, something tragic happens.
Yeah.
And does it shut it down? So, and these are untrained people just going in there.
They try to train for months, and it's like, bro, that's the thing. Again, like, remember, like, towards the beginning, I was just saying, like, this sport, this science, right, this art, like, it just needs its respect. And it's like, I mean, I get it. They're both probably training for a similar amount of time, but yeah, like you said, no matter what, it's gonna be dangerous, even if they had headgear, which they're not.
Yeah.
Like wearing. It's
Okay, real quick, you a Salt Papi fan?
Bro, I was gonna say, man, I
Papi?
mean, how can I not be? Like, I'm not that type of guy who's like,
See,
that
my
gets
man's
me.
have you seen him? He
Bro,
looks slim with the tilted brim.
So me and him were probably like the same weight, and like
Salt Papi.
Those like influencer boxers, he's the best one. Not even Jake Paul.
You think so?
Like, Salt
I want to see him fight Jake.
Actually looks skilled.
I want to see him. I want to see him fight Jake. And I'd hate to like
small
sway
now.
away from. Oh yeah. You're right. I don't even know who's fighting next, but I don't want to like sway from the purists of this program. So we'll leave those folks alone. Let me real quick. let's round this out. And this is something I think we agreed to this thing where the continuity of this particular show. We are going to keep going with this. We'll try to do it weekly, because Emil and I are fathers, so that comes first. Family comes first, but we'll keep doing this thing as needed, or if we can do it weekly. I know there's always fights there, and then we've got some big fights towards the end of the year here. Real quick before we round this out, I don't know when this episode is going to go out there. I'm probably going to get it out within the next couple of days here, but Canelo Jamel, who you got? And tell me
Dude,
how it's going to go down.
I got Canelo by late round stoppage, probably let's
Late round
say
stoppage.
ninth.
Okay. Fury Ngannou, how's that go down?
Man, all right. Fury by stoppage. I think it depends on how much he wants to mess around, but yeah, I'll say too, like probably the eighth through 10th round.
All right, and I'll put mine out there just so we can get a little bit of activity. And if you guys agree or disagree, let us know in the comments. Yeah. Make sure you follow us here at Cold Rice Media. Maybe we can do a little bit of collaboration with SBG and get this out there also on their socials. Make sure you do follow. You know, and along this episode, we'll let you know how to get in contact with us and how to follow us with our socials. I'll put. I think I said it earlier. I think once it goes past 6 and how Canelo looks, if he starts slowing down, I've got Jermell. I've got Jermell by decision. That's crazy to say just because it is Canelo, but I got Jermell by decision depending on how Canelo looks after the 6th. As far as the Fury Ngannou fight, like I said, I don't really want to make a prediction on that, but if I have to, I mean, it's Fury. Fury's the GOAT. Fury's the. This is a conversation on the next show. If we're talking about like GOATs and everything like that, I know we're going to talk about Manny, but I also want to talk about where Fury really ranks amongst the all-time greats as far as heavyweights. I mean, he's definitely got to be up there, and he's making quite a play. But yeah, so I've got Fury on that thing. So I think that's across the board, good to go. Plug anything that's coming up, man. It's your floor before we move on.
Man, there's not really anything coming up at the gym until next year. We're looking at end of March, April for our next big sparring event. Because I got too many milestones to plan this year. Son's first birthday, wedding. Nice. So I said, all right, I can't focus on anything else other than those two things. But yeah, I mean, just man, if you're in the Seattle area, Inner Bay, pull up to the gym, Seattle Boxing Gym, first class free, first session, 60-minute, half off.
Perfect. I appreciate the time. We will see you next time. Everybody else, thank you for joining us for our inaugural show. Laban, again, that's Laban, Laban. That means fight, and this is the new fight series. We'll see you all again. Peace.
Take it easy, y'all.